You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, Disney.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome in once again to a rockin' awesome Saturday night up here in Boston. Well, my name's Rick Ferrer, and I'm coming to you from the control panel of the Six Screens Telenetwork. And this is where people call in. This is where I monitor all the programs. This is where we monitor all the intruders that sometimes try to come into our program. But we certainly appreciate all you folks coming in tonight. And, well, I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world. I'm so glad of that. And we get a lot of apostates up here. I know I say that almost every week, but we do. And there's a whole lot more coming to your neck of the woods, too. So don't you be upset if you don't have many ex-witnesses or apostates, as many of them are called. But you'll be having them very shortly. Be friends. Friends, there's so many people leaving the Watchtower right now. It's unbelievable. You know what it is? It's hemorrhaging. The Watchtower organization is hemorrhaging. They're on life support. They are collapsing big time. And that's what we speak about here tonight on the news. We talk about the collapse of the Watchtower. We talk about what the Watchtower is doing to try to keep people in. And you're going to be listening to people calling in pretty much from all over the world tonight in real time, telling us, well, their thoughts about the Watchtower. So don't go anywhere. I know you're going to find it very, very fascinating. Just a couple of things now. During the course of the news, there's a fairly large meetup, as they would be called. This is ex-witnesses. They all gathered together at a restaurant. I think in this particular case, it's on the beach. And we hopefully will have them calling in live. JP, he's been on the Six Screens almost every week. He's actually kind of involved with this. So I did get word that he may be calling in. So if we do have to interrupt the news or interrupt someone that's coming on talking, we'll do it, then go right back. But we want to hear from that pretty large meetup out in Los Angeles, California. And a number of, from what I understand, it's going to be a good sized gathering. So we're looking forward to hearing from JP. And he said if he could get in, he will also have a number of people at the meetup speak up and talk to our audience right here. So you'll hear them. So we're looking forward to that. We'll see if that can happen. JP, if you're out there listening, why don't you try to call in about, I'd say about 15 minutes from now, and we'll be able to get you on and get those people on as well. Now, I also want to talk about the convention. I'm not going to beat it to death, but I'm sure you heard about it. We have got the first ex-Jehovah's Witness convention. Now, I know everybody doesn't particularly, not everybody, but some people do not like the word convention. Well, we're not going to change it now. Some want to say, Rick, just call it a conference. Call it whatever you want, maybe a seminar. But friends, it's a convention. In the English language, it's a convention. When people get together of the same sort, so to speak, that's what we're doing. We're going to have an ex-Jehovah's Witness convention. Now, you can call it what you want. Some have said that it triggers them. It sounds like a JW word. Well, they don't have a patent on the word convention. So, but it's a convention, but you can call it what you like if you feel more comfortable. But anyways, it's going to be up here in Boston. It's going to be at the Hilton Hotel. And it's right outside of Boston. It's about 20 miles north of Boston, up here in Tewksbury, Massachusetts, the Hilton Garden. It is beautiful. In fact, they just remodeled it all. Now, I booked the room. I booked the conference center they have there. The conference center holds approximately 300 people in the main auditorium. They have an adjacent, it's not an auditorium next to it, but it's a fairly large size room. They said that we could put some seats there. We could leave the door open, probably put a big screen TV so we could kind of see what's going on. So we got about 300 seats in the main auditorium, and we're approaching that number already for people coming to the convention. So if you are thinking of coming, what I want you to do is, the tickets are free, by the way. The tickets are free. It's August 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 2025, coming up in 4 months. So if you can make it, book your ticket. Get your ticket from me, first of all. Send your information to me. Say, Rick, I want 3 tickets for the Still Alive in 2025 convention, and I'll email you the tickets, and there'll be numbers on them. Now, when you get the tickets, please write me back and tell me you got them. I've got a lot of people that didn't do that, and it would make it so much more organized, I should say. If you do write me back and tell me, Rick, I got the tickets. Then I know that you basically are aware of what's going on, and perhaps you will be here if that's what your intent is. So here's the thing. I know there's going to be some confusion. There's going to be people at the last minute. Oh, Rick, I don't know you need tickets. We only have room for 300. Maybe we'll be able to squeeze 500, another 200 in the auxiliary room or in the lobby, but we can't do any more than that. So if you really plan on coming to this event, it's going to be a one big event, folks, really, when you think about it. So if you can be here and be with people of like mind, people who have been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower, you will really feel really good coming. So try to make it up here. So send me information. Say, Rick, give me some tickets. Send to jwworldnews@gmail.com. And we'll get you tickets. I'll mail them out to you. And now when you get them, take a picture with your camera, or at least jot down what number you have, and then bring the information to the convention when you come. So we'll make sure you get a good seat. But if you don't have a ticket, you might not be able to get into the main auditorium. So I would say if you are at least thinking of coming, now you don't have to, if you book your room and you don't come, you don't have to pay for it. So we have 100 rooms blocked. But, if you at least book it, and you don't have to put any money down, just book the room at the Hilton Hotel in Tewksbury, Mass. Now, scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now on YouTube and Facebook, the 6 screens of the Watchtower website. Get on that website, give you all the information right there on the home page about the Hilton. Did someone want to speak up? Go ahead, you run with us. Okay, I guess not. Now, remember, folks, when you're done talking, always put hit *6 once again. That will mute you. Let me just mute some people here that are not muted. Hold on 1 second. All right. Yeah, when you got a telephone line coming in, you're doing live, we must remember when we call into the program and you call that number, scrolling, well, I'll put the number up shortly. You'll see it here on the Facebook and YouTube feed. But what I'm saying is when you call that number to call into the program, what you do to speak up, you hit *6. And then when you're done speaking, if you guys could really do this, it would save me so much frustration. When you're done speaking, hit *6 again. Now, I know sometimes you forget, but boy, if you could do that, we can keep the lines nice and clear. And then I don't have to go through all of these numbers to find out who's unmuted when they should be muted. So try to do that. All right. So also we will be playing the duck game. You guys like the duck game? Now, during the course of the evening, if anyone calls into the program and they mention a word that I have in some of the questions, or a word that I have in a secret envelope, or a phrase, they will automatically get 2 points. And you're all on the honor system. You all have to keep track of your points. And then when you get 12 points, the first person to get 12 points gets $100 that I'll send to you. Now, if you get 5 points, you can get a book. And we got beautiful books like this one right here. And Jim Hill, we know him as Nathan Natus. He gives us these books. He had them republished through Lulu. And these are all Watchtower books. Every word is the same as it is in the Watchtower book itself. These are reprinted. The Watchtower never had a copyright on them. They thought that new world was coming. So a lot of these books, well, this one here isn't written by the Watchtower. This is written by Don Cameron. And it's called The Captives of a Concept. And he talks in this book about what the nucleus of the Jehovah's Witness organization is. And you read it. I won't spoil the book. But the nucleus is the anointed. The nucleus is the faithful and discreet slave. So there's a great book. I want to give that book away. and we thank Jim for giving us these books. We got another book here by Rutherford. It's called Home and Happiness. This is a Watchtower publication. This is a goofy book. Rutherford writes in this book all about what it's going to be like in the new system and what you will do in the new system. It's really nutty. And this one here, I'll tell you, this is the most requested book. This book right here, The Bible for the Scientists. This book, it's by W.L. Van Amberg. He was a Watchtower official. I believe he was the secretary to Russell, I believe. I'm not sure. Russell, I believe. Yeah, he was a secretary, yes, to Russell, from what I understand. And this book deals with the pyramids of Giza and how Russell went over there and measured the inner chambers and how he came up with the calculation of 1914. So this is the most requested book, but I got a number of them here. So if you get 5 points, keep your own score, and you'll win a book. I'll mail it out to you. Also, what we'll do, I'm going to give 2 points if anyone out there has read any book that would have critical information about the Watchtower, whether it's The Crisis of Conscience, or whether it's any book at all that you know of that you would like to come on here tonight and give us a little 2-minute book report. I'll give you 2 points. So any book at all that you like to review, so bear that in mind, give you a little 2-minute talk about the book and tell us how you moved, and you get the points. There's no questions you'll have to answer. Just give us the review, you get the points. So we'll give that a shot. Okay, so let me just take a little sip here of ginger ale. Hold on one second. Just clear my throat. Hold on one second. Okay, so let's take a look here. Let's get my glasses ready. Now, I came across this week something of interest. It really got my attention. And the Pew, P-E-W Research Center. Now, we've talked about them before on this program. What they do is they have it's like a polling company, a research company. And generally speaking, they do polling or research on religions. You know, how many people are joining, who's leaving, what religions are the biggest, things of that nature. Now, in a recent Pew report, just came out, I guess, this week, and it actually says that this is the headlines from the report. Pew Research, around the world, many people are leaving their childhood religions. Well, haven't we been talking about that? Haven't we been talking about these people leaving their childhood religions for the last 5 years? Yes. So this report really substantiates all the people all around the world that are leaving their religions. Now, you'll find some information there, kind of very interesting. The Pew Research found that 36 countries that were surveyed, they find that Christianity and Buddhism have the biggest losses from religious switching. Now, they have a term here you probably never heard of, religious switching. Well, I never heard of it either, but it's kind of fascinating. It says here in many countries around the world, a fifth or more of all adults have left their religious group in which they were raised. Well, maybe that's you. Yeah, you left your religious group, right? You're no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, it says here Christianity and Buddhism have experienced especially large losses from this religious switching. I'll explain what switching is here. Give me a second. It says, while rising numbers of adults have no religious affiliation, and you know that. Have you been on Reddit? Have you been on some of these sites, forums? A lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, they have zero religious affiliation. And according to the Pew Research Center, surveys of nearly 80,000 people in 36 countries are showing that a lot of people, they have no religious affiliation. Now, what is this switching? Rates of religious switching vary all over the globe. What is religious switching? Now, throughout this report, religious switching refers to a change between the religious group in which a person says they were raised during their childhood and their religious identity now as an adult. All right. So I guess I'm a religious switcher. I switched religions. I was one time one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and now I'm a Christian. I'm a non-denominational Christian. So that's what they call religious switching. But bear in mind now that not everybody who leaves their childhood religion switches to another religion. Like I just said, a good many adults don't have any affiliation with religion whatsoever. So the word switching here, from what I'm trying to draw a parallel, would have to, in other words, I'm thinking, well, could we really liken it to? So the term religious switching, instead of conversion, they're just using the word switching. So they're not, now conversion, it does bring up a thought here that can take many different directions. But when I think of the word conversion versus the word switching, conversion usually takes more study, more effort, more understanding, and then you convert. But switching is like, putting a light on and off. You switch it on, switch it off. Many people, I'll tell you right now, do you know many Jehovah's Witnesses that have left? Many ex-witnesses have become Catholic. Many have become Mormons. Did you know that? Some have even become Muslims. Oh, yeah. So they made a complete switch, right? But we know that, we don't have to have Pew tell us the religious organization of the Jehovah's Witnesses is without doubt falling apart. And can I say that with full emphasis? You better believe I can. It's falling apart. We call it, it's on life support. It's on life support. It's in free fall right now. And, right now is the memorial season. Well, the memorial is next Saturday night. It's April 12th. Now, you would really expect to see the witnesses pounding the pavement. You would expect to see them all over the place with the carts. You would expect to see witnesses everywhere. Because when I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and Satan kicked me out back in 2005, but when I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses like you back then, you hustled your butt off. You were out there knocking on doors, giving out invitations. Every door got an invitation. And you see witnesses all over the place. Friends, nobody's seeing the witnesses. They're not out there. They're not hustling like they used to. You expect to see them all over the place. You expect to see them at train stations. I go by train stations. I go by bus stations. I don't even see the witnesses. This is the prime season. This is the season they root for all year long. But there doesn't seem to be much interest. This is a different way of looking at things, at least what I can see. Memorial Week, the month before Memorial, we had campaigns. We were all over the place. Now, friends, I have to tell you, I see that whole idea of getting out there and witnessing for Jehovah God is not happening like it used to. And the fresh scent, I can smell the collapsing cult. And it is invigorating. It is invigorating.
Rick,
yeah, go ahead.
Say something here, Rick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Memorial Week, the problem was you're inviting someone to Memorial and no one's eating or drinking. And it's very difficult to explain to someone from the outside. And it's really not a very successful method of preaching. But not only that, my opinion is nobody wants new people at the hall. It's a lot of effort and work to put up with them because they don't know the nuances of the theocratic way of doing things, And if you do study with them, you got to put up with them for a year and a half before you kick them to the curb when they get baptized, which a lot of the most adept pioneers did. They didn't associate them with them once they kicked them to the curb when they got baptized. I wanted to call because I had another poem. Is that all right?
We'd love to hear it.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's for the drunken Bethelites that we talked about last week. I felt so sorry for him because I woke up in the middle of the night. My stomach was growling because I ate a vegetable stir fry before I went to bed, and so I suffered for it. And I thought, the poor drunken Bethelites, they wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and what do? Hitchhike down the road to Tuxedo Park to get a hamburger or something? I don't know what they do. So this is my poem for the pitiable drunken Bethelites. It's called This Time. In that darkest dread of the night, in a cold sweat of fright, when you finally ask yourself, will the end really happen this time? Will you reflect on your door-busting 50-year in the truth granny who just passed? Or your high school buddies who are married with kids and full of cash? Or your hall homies who left long ago and you were stuck filling their seats in Pocono? Yes, sweat. Sweat it all out, because you know the truth. You got stuck holding the field service bag. You were put on a cart rolling downhill with no brakes. You did not fail to hesitate when you should have. And now the end is not near, and you have made a great mistake here. Sweat it out, baby, because this time is always going to be the next time. Pick a year, any year. It's never here, and they're never wrong, or are they? Night, night, drunken Bethelites.
Wow, I tell you, well, I like that. I'm sure the people listening in like it, but I like there's one line in there that resonated. In other words, you're very crafty at times. You insert little thoughts we can put a lot of legs on those thoughts. But one verse in there, you said, your high school buddies, well, they're having kids and they have lots of cash.
And they're full of cash.
Yeah, see, so that caught my attention. That caught my attention because that's true. We got a lot of people, a lot of baby boomers, a lot of people that grew up with the witnesses, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Now they're getting old. And this Watchtower has really turned their life upside down. It really has. But you hit the nail on the head there, King of Dots. Good job. Good job.
Yeah, I don't do it for approval. I'm hoping that maybe I'll prick them where it hurts, man. In the middle of the night when they all wake up thinking, God, what, is the end going to come, or I'm wasting my time up here in Warwick? And they're wasting their time, and someone needs to tell them.
Well,
thank you, Rick.
thank you for wanting to tell them. I mean, all of us speaking out together, all of us together, all the YouTubers, everyone, we're all working together. Someone want to comment? Go ahead.
And lastly, Drunken Bethelites, night night. I'm out of here.
Okay, thank you, King of Dots. All right, well, there you go. He comes in with those poems, and we do like it. But back on the memorial. Where are they? I don't see anybody. I don't see the witnesses. I used to see them all over town, walking up and down the streets. I don't see anything. Even in years past, they used to mail. I live in a condo development here, and so they can't really solicit. So they don't come in here door to door. But what they did do for the last, not this year, but last year, the year before, they sent invitations out. I haven't even seen any of those. I was getting invitations to come to the memorial. But the Kingdom Halls are emptying, but I have to tell you, if you get online and you read some of the posts that are made on Reddit and JWN, some of the posts say, "Well, we have lots of people at our Kingdom Hall." I don't know what people are talking about. Well, I'm gonna just share a thought with you. I know what they're talking about. The reason why some Kingdom Halls have a lot of people is because the Watchtower designed it that way. Oh, they did? Yeah, they did. Well, what they did is they closed, at least in my neck of the woods, they closed a number of Kingdom Halls down. They closed, I live in Tewksbury, Massachusetts. Now, 2 towns over is Dracut, Massachusetts. They closed that Kingdom Hall, sold it off to a church. Now, the next town over it's actually Billerica, Massachusetts. They sold that one off. Yeah, they sold that one off. So that's no longer Kingdom Hall. And then there's one in Middleton, sold that one off. This one in Gardner, sold that one off.
Fucking morning.
Hold on one second.
Sit there and call me
You don't
homosexual
need
and all this other bullshit. I'm not gay. They might.
Goodbye.
Yeah, we, you get that once in a while. Hold on one second. Let me see if 1, 2, 3 testing. Just want to make sure I didn't shut myself off here. When you get people come in here, I make a mad dash. Hold on one second. Our phone went off. Hold on one second, folks. We'll be right back with you. We got the trolls. We got the drunken Bethelites coming in here once again. For some reason, the phone line shut off. So let's get that going once again. Hang in. We're ready to go. Give us a second. Yeah, we have a phone line hooked up. That went down. There's these guys, they come in. They try to mess things up on us. And sometimes what happens is the phone system goes down with a hacked.
Welcome to My One Number. If you are the host, press star now. Otherwise, please wait, and you will be joined into the conference. Please enter your phone, followed by the pound.
All right.
Thank you. There are 20 participants in the conference. The conference has been locked. Recording did not start because your storage is full. Please log in and delete recordings or purchase more storage from your account.
All right, so you heard the message. So we do have the conference locked right now. So if you're listening in right now, don't leave. We just have to keep those intruders from coming in because they'll come in with some pretty bad language. Let me just make sure that I'm muted here. I'm all set to go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I guess you can hear me now. That's good. Okay, so let's get back to what's going on with the memorial. Some of these Kingdom Halls, as I was saying. So some people are saying, well, Rick, the Kingdom Hall I go to is really packed, and there's other Kingdom Halls that aren't. But the difference is they compressed. Like I was saying, a number of Kingdom Halls closed down up here in Massachusetts. And what they would do is they would bring those people in the Kingdom Halls that closed down, they'll bring them to the Kingdom Halls, and it'll have 3 or 4 new congregations meeting with one. So it makes the congregation look like, wow, we are really growing. So it's a little tactic Watchtower is using. And some of these are key areas. Some of them are key areas that Watchtower wants to keep a few good, healthy congregations. So it's all done by design. But that's the reason why sometimes you'll hear, well, one congregation is doing good, one congregation is not doing that good. All right. So anyways, right up here in my neck of the woods, Wilmington, Massachusetts, that's the Kingdom Hall that I went to. Now, what they do there is I don't believe the memorial is being held there this year. They didn't hold it last year. We had a protest, if you remember. But they didn't. It wasn't, well, they did have 1 or 2. They had 2 congregations meet. But the earlier congregation, they had meet at a hotel. And this is what the Watchtower has been doing, too. To make it look like a larger gathering, to make it look like this growth, the Watchtower will actually rent a hotel conference room that holds maybe upwards of 300, 400, 500 people, and then the Watchtower will tell some of the congregations that they will be meeting in this hotel. So when the people come to the hotel, wow, look at all the people. Well, it's about 20 congregations from the area, so it makes it. They have to play games, folks. So that's what they're doing. And they'll be doing again this year, I'm sure, in many, many congregations. You guys out there probably had it happen to you. They don't meet at the Kingdom Hall. They meet in a hotel. I came across something. I want to share this with you because I found this very fascinating. Did you know that Watchtower, in their publication, the Watchtower 1972, March 15th, page 167, and I'll read it to you, but what the Watchtower is saying in this magazine is that avoiding the memorial, in other words, if you don't go to the memorial, it says you will face a fate worse than death. So if you don't go to the memorial, according to the Watchtower, I'll read it to you, you could face death. So this is it verbatim, right from the Watchtower. I got it off the dusty shelves here. I'm looking at it. Therefore, anyone deliberately staying away from this celebration. They're calling the memorial a celebration. So anyone staying away from this celebration does well to consider this question. If willful disregard of the ancient Passover was punishable by death, would it not be more severe punishment be meted out to one who spurns the Lord's evening meal, trampling on the provision represented by the bread and wine? So they're saying here in the 72 Watchtower in March 15 that if you don't go to the memorial, it's punishable by death, basically, is what they're saying. I can't believe you couldn't get away saying these things today, but they did back in the 70s, 60s, and 80s. So, then they're talking here saying that, that if you didn't back then, they're saying if you don't go to the memorial, it's like trampling on the provision represented by the bread and wine. But I'm saying that's a goofy statement because, first of all, the ones going 99.9% of all those going to the memorial, they don't take the emblems anyway. So couldn't you say that's trampling on them? Trampling on the provision represented by the bread and wine? They just pass it on. So they already trample on the provision by not partaking. I tell you, you gotta listen to their words and analyze everything they're saying. So, by not taking, I look at not taking the bread and wine would be trampling. But they're saying not coming would be trampling. So you can see how their writing can really mix people up and get people confused. The funny thing is, and I did a little research on this too. So the funny thing that I'm getting from this Watchtower in saying that they're comparing the memorial to the Passover. And the Watchtower has always done that. However, if you look into the book of Exodus, I'm not going to get scriptural here on you. I'm just going to tell you what I found. If you look into the book of Exodus, there was absolutely no requirement for those not in that covenant to observe. In other words, if you were not an Israelite, you did not have to, there was no requirement that you had to go to the Passover to observe it if you weren't in the covenant. So, these worldly people, they're supposedly in no covenant. So there's no requirement. If they're liking the memorial to the Passover, this idea of you go and be a respectful observer, that is stupidity. There's no such thing as a respectful observer. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. So if you were not an Israelite, you didn't partake. You didn't go to the Passover. So if you don't go to the memorial and you're not one of Jehovah's Witnesses, they can't put you in some type of a corner here. So, and then not only that, even it would be for Jehovah's Witnesses.
As a young person, Rick, I think that's when they count their numbers.
Well, that's where that's the biggest event of the year, Pixie. That's what they catapult off as being so spectacular in the witness world for numbers. Yes.
But I've had questions since I was a teenager that the numbers were inflated as to how many members worldwide. And I think that's what they do. I think they use memorial attendance to inflate their membership numbers worldwide.
Yeah, in fact, Pixie, that's exactly what they do, because there are people, the Watchtower right now is saying that they get 9 million people. But I've heard people say, well, the Jehovah's Witnesses have over 20 million. Well, they don't. That's people who come to the memorial, but they really boast about that number. They get every Tom, Dick, and Harry to show up at the Kingdom Hall or the hotel they have the memorial at. And, look at our numbers. We got 22 million people in this organization. Well, not really. Not really. That's a false presentation. Well, thank you, Pixie, for bringing that up. But, the other thing that really gets me here. Now, in the Watchtower articles, and even up till today, really, that they call the memorial a celebration. Now think about it. Do you celebrate the death of someone? Well, the Watchtower always has said that, right? Well, it's more important to celebrate the death than the birth. No, they don't celebrate the birth of Jesus. That would be Christmas, but they don't touch that with a 10-foot pole. But they think it's so important to celebrate the death. I mean, that is who celebrates the death? Jeez, I mean, when you go to a funeral, you don't look at it as a celebration, do you? It's a solemn event, but the witnesses call it a celebration. And really, the only celebration they have as a religion, it's the only celebration, if you want to call it that, the Jehovah's Witnesses have as a religion. And it's really a funeral. It's really a funeral where the majority who go cannot even participate in the so-called ceremony by taking. And it's a very dry religion. It lacks spirit. It lacks joy. I don't understand. I mean, the people, what they would do is they'd go to like at my Kingdom Hall, would all go to the memorial, and then would all go out to a restaurant. It was like maybe that's what they were celebrating, restaurant night. But we would all do that. Maybe they did that in your neck of the woods too. But it certainly was weird to me. And you put your best clothes on, you dress all up, you polish your shoes, you slick your hair back, and you show up at the memorial. And they pass the wine, the bread. Nobody takes it. After that, everybody goes out to a restaurant. Wasn't that a wonderful event? Wonderful event. I mean, there's no spirit there. What a crazy! I'll tell you what. When you stop and think about it, it's just so crazy, huh? As a matter of fact, a Watchtower, they actually discourage people from partaking. Now, I dug this magazine up, 2000, Watchtower 2016. Well, let me read to you something that is totally satanic. Totally satanic. It says here, Jehovah knows those who belong to him. 2 Timothy 2:19. So those taking the count at the memorial cannot judge who truly have the heavenly hope. All right, so the attendants, they're saying here in this Watchtower article, that are taking the count at the memorial, they cannot judge who truly has the heavenly hope. Friends, I have to tell you, they all judge. They all judge. Oh, he shouldn't be taken. She shouldn't be taken. But they do. Now, the article goes on to say the number of partakers includes those who mistakenly think that they are anointed. So they're saying here that there's many who go to the memorial who mistakenly think that they are anointed. Some who at one point started to partake of the emblems and later stopped. Others may have mental or emotional problems that lead them to believe that they will rule with Christ in heaven. Therefore, the number of partakers does not accurately indicate the number of anointed ones left on earth. Now, is that an encouraging article? Don't you think the Watchtower, if they really took this, yes. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, are you there, Rick? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, yeah.
Are you there?
I'm here, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was part of the celebration of watching. The part of the celebration for us was watching those who were drinking and, like you said, judging them that they were unworthy, especially if they were young. Do you remember that? If we saw a young one, we'd go, "Oh my God, a fake!" You know what I mean? And then, like you said, we'd go out to the restaurant afterwards and talk about it. About the different ones that took them. You remember? That was part of the show. And I remember when I was young, we used to stand on our seats, and look across the hall, and we'd see the same two people taking it. We'd say, "Man, those are the ones that are going to heaven." They were special, But then, like you said, after a while, they opened it up to everybody. But yeah, part of that show we used to watch was just watching the ones that were we thought were unentitled, the ones that we thought were just fakes or they were mentally ill. We really thought they were mentally ill. That's what we called them. We said, man, they're nuts. Man, look at that crazy subject, you know what I mean? But Rick, that, to me, that's a new low. That is a new low. That is, can I just tell you what I feel about that? Those guys telling them to come to the hall like that. That's like grabbing them by the nuts and saying, get your ass to the Kingdom Hall and bring everyone you know or else. That's horrible. That's as low as you go. That's bottom feeding. And that's what they're doing. That's how desperate they are, like Pixie said, to get those numbers up. That's a big numbers here. Because all the family, the relatives, everyone is, the memorial comes. Did you think the end was coming, Rick, when the memorial happened? We all thought the end was coming, We'd go, we'd say, we don't want to miss that, because if we miss that, we're dead. I kind of felt we were dead back then, but to put it in a magazine like that, could you imagine a group of men sitting together around a table and putting that shit together like that, wording it like that, expressing it like that? That's just disgusting. What do you think, Rick?
Well, yeah, I definitely do. The Watchtower, I don't know if they could get away with some of the things they do, but back there let's go back here. Let me just find it here. Back in 1972, when they explicitly said, if you deliberately stay home from the celebration, the memorial celebration, it could be punishable by death. That's what the article's saying. Now, I mean, that is, you couldn't get away with that today. And I think,
that's twisting your arm. That's a gun to your head. Why would it be a gun to your head? And like you said so clearly, they're not celebrating and they're not participating. They're just observing. So basically they're saying, come watch us drink. Come watch us eat. We're the special ones. It's totally narcissistic to just sit there. I remember passing the wine. We just watch it like it was I don't know what we thought it was when it went by, but you didn't dare touch the glass. Did you ever when it went by just not touch the glass? Well, you drank it, but we always don't touch it. We didn't even want to touch the damn thing. Just pass it by. We didn't know if it was real blood or what was in the cup, but we would just pass it by. We would just look at the bread all curled up on there and say, what the hell is this shit? We didn't know what was going on, Rick. I tell you, we didn't know. It wasn't like a regular church where everybody grabs a cracker and a little juice. It wasn't like that. It was something weird about it. It was dark. It really was dark, And my uncle
The conference has been unlocked.
The wine at the end to get drunk. He did. He drank up all the wine because nobody drank, right? Just one or two people. So he would drink it all, man. And he'd come home drunk. My grandpa, he was an elder.
Oh, yeah. Well, the craziest thing, and you brought it up. I wasn't going to bring it up, but I'll bring it up. And you brought up that I partook, and I did. And back in 1993,
yep.
I started, from reading the Bible. I saw that if you're going to be a real Christian, not a phony baloney Christian like the Watchtower, but if you're going to hold on 1 second, let me just mute some people here. If you're going to be a real Christian, you would not. You partake. You take it. That's the message of Christianity. Real Christians partake. That's what every Christian today does on the planet. They partake of the bread and the wine. So I found out that by reading the Bible, I'm going to partake. So I went in there and partook. And my former wife and I were the only ones that would. And like you said earlier, kids would stand up on the chair. It would be almost like a sporting event. Let's see now, we've got the wine being passed right now. Who's going to take the wine? Is it Brother Farron? Is it Sister Farron? Will they take it this time? I mean, it was like a sporting event. It was a dog and pony show, Jeez.
What? But we'd say, what's going on? He drank this shit, how? Because we pass it by, 40 rows, but we would be like, oh my God, I'm going to drink this shit. His wife too, oh my God, and it was just crazy. But like I said, when me and Angela visited the churches, everybody was partaking, and I told Angela, what are they doing? And the question and the thought was that keep doing this and remember to me, all those who are my followers keep doing this. And I said, oh, well, that makes sense. Everybody does it. So that's amazing, Rick, that you thought that while you were a witness. I would have never thought it. We just thought it was a command to be there and, something special. But we always freaked out when somebody drank. We always just freaked out and start talking and whispering. My dad would thump us on the head, and it was crazy. Anyway.
Well, no, it was, Dan. It was absolutely. In fact, I'll tell you what. This idea too, in the last few years, where they've been coming out with these articles that you're mentally ill, perhaps it's something left over from Christendom. In fact, the last meeting that I went to at the Kingdom Hall was the memorial. Actually, no, it was a week before the memorial, and they had a Watchtower article, and I counted 15 reasons why you shouldn't partake. And really, in Christianity, you should be encouraged. That is a covenant that you make with Christ, and not to get too spiritual, but that's how it works in real Christianity. But in the witness world, man, it's so different, Dan. So different. Well, thank you, Dan. Thank you.
And yes, and yeah, and I just wanted to say one other thing, Rick. I haven't seen anybody either going door to door. I did. My daughter did have somebody stop by her house, but they're not out in numbers, Rick. They're not used to preaching. They're used to standing with a cart. They're told to shut their mouth and say nothing, just point. JW.org. That's all they do anymore. Everything's at JW.org. Go to JW. They don't know how to preach. They don't know how to. They probably don't even know what the memorial stands for. They don't know how to like King and Dot said there. How the hell do you explain it? Well, we're supposed to keep doing this in remembrance of Jesus, yet we don't do it because the anointed do it, and they're different than us. And you say, well, how are they different? It's a big, long thing to try to explain to people. So anyway, that's it, Rick. Thank you.
Well,
Can I chime in again?
Go ahead, King. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like you, the last meeting I ever went to was the memorial. And there were so many people there, as it turned out. We were way, way far in the back. And one of the brothers who was on my deletion committee, I actually had a deletion committee appeal, and I had 11 elders there. And I lost the appeal, but this brother, he voted for me. 1 out of 3. You had the city overseer and 2 other congregation overseers and all the elders at my hall. But he wouldn't even talk to me. When he saw me, he just said hi with his hand. And yeah, he couldn't even talk to me. But I will tell you this. I thought I was anointed before I got baptized. And my study teacher, he went berserk on me, literally berserk. And I'll never forget what he said. The number's filled. It's filled. Do you know what that means? Nothing gets in and nothing gets out. You can't possibly be anointed. And I don't hear that reasoning anymore from Watchtower. It's filled. I don't get it. But again, it's very hurtful to me, the way I've been treated. There are people in the congregation. The last one I went to, Sister Rogers, and she always partook. There were 3 sisters who partook, and heaven forbid. And I went to a Raising the Truth elder, and I said, they must be nice to have 3 sisters to partake. And he said, that's all they are, partakers. They're not anointed. And they actually disparaged them behind their back, talking about them out. So that crazy old back took the bread and the wine again. I'm serious. This is the culture they developed there, at least in my area. Every area has their different stupid, crappy culture going on, Rick. But it really became disgusting after a while. That's all I got to say. It's very bad taste in my mouth about the whole thing. Every time I hear about the memorial, it's like more of this crap. And they'll be disparaging people once again. Okay, Rick, I'm out of here.
Wow. Thank you, King and Dots. Thank you very much. But I want to bring up.
Rick.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Where I'm at, 2 or 3 congregations in years past, as of late, they would have memorials in high schools, and I'm sure that would set off some red flags now these days, because high schools are like where teenagers go.
Yeah, well, no doubt. I mean, they're trying all different venues. They've had them in high schools. They've had them in hotels. They've had them in a different lot all over the place. Yeah.
Unfortunately, you also handle a 2-year-old.
We got the Bethelites coming in once again, so we'll try to keep them off here. So that's we'll try hard. They're trying to bombard the program again. Makes it very. But listen, if you're coming in now and you want to speak up, hit *6. If you're on the phone line right now, hit *6. That'll bring you on, and then we can speak with you. So go ahead. We have some new ones. Got a bunch of new ones calling in right now because we just unlocked the program. So go ahead, call in. Hit *6. Say hello.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes. Go ahead. You're on.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. You're on.
Hello?
Hello, you're on.
Hi, Rick?
Yeah.
Oh, you motherfucker.
Hold on.
I
Hold
was
on.
so clean now, so the goddamn motherfucker.
No, like, get him off, Daddy.
Yeah,
The conference has been locked.
he's off. Okay, we got him off. We locked the conference again. Go ahead. Yep.
Okay, Dad, do you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, who's this?
Okay, it's Jamie.
Oh, Jamie.
It's your
Okay.
daughter.
All right. Well, I didn't recognize your voice. Jenny calls me sometimes too. Yeah. What would you like to say, Jamie?
Hi. Yeah. I'm listening to the conference call.
Yeah.
You tonight. Like, I needed to listen to it. And everything that you're saying is truth. And I'm so glad to be on the conference call tonight. If you'll accept me, like I want to talk to you.
Oh, absolutely. Well, absolutely. I'm your father. I'm not going to turn my children away from talking to me. So, what's on your mind, Jamie?
I have to say that Rick Farron, he is a beautiful father, and he has done so much for me. And he raised me in the Watchtower because he thought that was what was truth, and he didn't know at the time. And then he learned a lot from the Watchtower and the Wake magazines. And then he said, like, there's something wrong here, and like, I don't feel right about it, but I gotta go through the thing because it feels like, okay, I'm going through God, and like, I'll do the thing. And then you realize that it wasn't the truth, the Watchtower. It's not the truth, Daddy. It's not the truth.
Well, I'm glad you do.
Well,
I'm glad that you recognize that, Jamie. I'm really glad you do. Yes.
Yeah, and everything that you're saying is resonating with me. Like, I don't know a lot. I know a lot about the Watchtower because I was raised in it from you, and I appreciate that because there was a lot of things like, okay, there were some good things, like I learned about public speaking and talking to you on the phone with all of these people all over the world, which is that's a big thing. And I gotta say that what you're doing right now, you are doing God's work. And I thank you for that. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I love you, Jamie. You're a good girl, and you're certainly someone that I'm proud of. Now, tell me, Jamie. Now, we got a lot of people listening in. They listen in from all over the world here tonight. So you've been touched by the tentacles.
Okay.
What really got you thinking about the Watchtower being wrong?
I'll tell you. I went to Pioneer School, Dad. I know that you remember that because you stood in my room, and as beautiful as you are, you stood in my room and you said, there's something about this that is not the absolute truth. And I can't tell you everything right now because I know that you knew at that time. Like, I can't tell you everything. But there's something that you need to know, and you do your thing. And I went to Pioneer School. And I was in Pioneer School, and I had to give a talk. You know how we give the talks. And, like, I had to stand up in front of a big audience, and I had to tell my story. Okay? And I told my story. And prior to that, I went in the back room, and I prayed to God himself. Okay? And I prayed to God, and I said, I need to talk to a lot of these people in the Watchtower. And I might say things that they might not agree with, but I need to do this thing. And I felt God's spirit within me. And that was beyond the Watchtower. That was beyond, like, the Jehovah that I had learned about in the Watchtower. And I said, God answered my prayer. And I went up before all of those people, and I told them my story. I was raised in the Watchtower.
and that I did the thing, and I had to do the thing, and I was like a pioneer, and like I the Watchtower and the Wake magazines, like I did the thing. There's something about this that is not the absolute truth. And I'll tell you, Dad, and they're all listening, and I love you for this, Dad. You told me this is not the absolute truth, and that's okay that you believe that, because it's not the absolute truth, okay? And albeit, like, I went to those doors, and I told them, like, here's the Watchtower and Awake magazines, and, like, here's the truth, but there's something within me that's saying this is not the absolute truth, okay? And they need to connect with God without a conduit. They don't need the Watchtower to connect with God.
Yeah, in fact, Jamie, one thing I want to say is I remember that time. Well, you were still living with us. You were a young woman at the time. You were about 17 or 18. Your sister, Jacqueline, each had your own room. Jacqueline also was pioneering as you were, and she was your older sister.
Mm-hmm.
And she was the one who was trying to encourage you
Mhm.
to stay pioneering. And I remember one night you called me into your room
Mhm.
and you said, Dad, I can't do this anymore. I really can't. I can't go door to door. I don't
That's
like
right.
it. I don't like it. I can't do it. I don't like it. But you said your sister Jacqueline, who was very loyal, still is to this day. Jacqueline's very loyal, and she's pushing me. She's making me do it like the big sister, is doing to the little sister. And so I said, Jamie,
Mhm.
if you don't want to do this, you don't have to do it. Now, remember the time, and I was married to at the time Inez, my former wife, but she was kind of a loyal witness. So I said, look, this is between you and me. Don't tell your mother, right? Remember?
That's right.
Remember that?
That's right, Daddy. I remember that. If I can tell them that, Daddy, let me say that, okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Rick Farron is a beautiful man, okay? He knew back then that there is something really wrong with the Watchtower. And he did this thing, and he said, you know what, we're going to, string it through, because my wife at the time, my mother, who believed it, was, wholeheartedly, this is the truth. And Rick Farron said, this isn't the absolute truth. And I believe that, Daddy. I looked at you and I'm like, I know it's not the absolute truth, but you have to go through the thing. And you had to go through that thing so that you can teach other people that this is not the truth. The Watchtower is not the truth. It's a bunch of baloney. Okay?
Well, I'm so glad, Jamie. I mean, I've known you've been out. Now, I have to be honest with you, and I'll tell you, we only have one member of our family, your sisters. Now, my former wife and I had 5 children. Jamie was the youngest one. She was the baby. But every one of them is out. Every one of them is out of the Watchtower, except for your sister Jacqueline. Did you know that, Jamie?
That's right. I've been thinking about Jacqueline a lot. I thought about Jill, the oldest, your first child, and I thought about her, and I know that she had 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of thing, and I think she's still in it, but she's not in it kind of thing. And I think Jill, I tried to reach out to Jill, Dad. I tried to reach out to Jill, and she's kind of afraid.
Well, she's a little. Well, it's what they call PMOs. You know what that term is, Jamie? PMO. In other words, you're physically in.
What's that?
Well, it's an acronym. It's an acronym. In the ex-witness world, we call people PMOs. That is, they're physically in, mentally out. That they go to the meetings, but they don't believe it. Mentally, they don't believe it, but they go to the meeting so they don't get their family disconnected from them.
Right, exactly. And she's scared, Dad. See, that's the thing. She's scared, and she should be scared of but she shouldn't be scared of the Watchtower organization. You know who should be scared? is everyone for you, for bringing down the Watchtower organization. I thank you. I thank you, Rick Farron, my father. I thank you for doing everything that you're doing. It is beautiful work. You are bringing down this organization, and that is my heart. Like, it needs to be brought down because our family was torn apart because of all of this. And I thank you so much for doing what you're doing.
Well, Jamie, I'm so glad you called in tonight, and your commission check will be in the mail. No, I had no idea you were going to call in, did I? Yeah, but thank you, Jamie, for calling in. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Hello?
Yeah, hold on.
I love you. You get on with your program.
Well, hold on. Hold on. Jamie, we have some.
Hi. How you doing, Jamie? Hi. How you doing? I've been listening to your father's show for years. I'm really loyal to the show.
He's doing the Lord's work.
I know. We are so part of him. I mean, I don't know how he does it because I know I couldn't do it, but I take him. Hey, Jamie, will you be at the convention?
Mm-hmm.
You gonna be at the convention?
Oh, will I be at the convention?
Yeah.
I should go there. Like I don't know. Like, it's been a long time since I've been at those things, but I can be there. I'll do that.
I'm your father's convention in August.
Okay. In August,
Are you gonna go? Yeah. Are you gonna go?
Well, we're gonna try to get Jamie here. She probably doesn't.
What?
Yeah.
Where do you live, Jamie?
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
In which state do you live? I mean, do you live in Massachusetts?
She's asking you where you live, Jamie.
What I know. Where I live. I live close to Chicago. About 20 miles from Chicago.
Oh, I thought you were here in Massachusetts. Oh, okay.
You know, I'm in Chicago, about 20 miles out, and all the time, it's like Rick Farron, he is doing the Lord's work. He is working directly through Christ.
I know.
And I know, Dad, if this is okay, if I can say this, God himself is working directly through you.
Well, no, it's nice to say that, but well, thank you, Jamie. I appreciate that.
Daddy.
I appreciate. Well, thank you. Well, let's go to Dick Boogie. Did Dick Boogie want to say something? Then thank you, Kim, for calling in. Dick Boogie, want to say something? We'll bring Dick back on. I see.
Yeah, Rick, I just like to piggyback on what Jamie was saying, and it's good to hear her voice again. You know, we just want the audience to know that it takes a lot of guts to do what you did, and I concur with your daughter that the Holy Spirit is working through you. I absolutely believe that. I know before Six Screens even came on, when you had the uproom ministry at your house, I used to drive down the street and I used to look to see if there's any bands or anything that looked like someone shoot bullets through your house.
Right.
Because, you know, the Watchtower, it's just like the mafia. You start costing them money, they'll hurt you if they can get away with it. So it takes brains and it takes guts. And Rick, as far as I'm concerned, you epitomize all those things. Thank you.
That's right. Oh, that's really nice, Dad. If I can just interject just for a second, I'm going to go real soon. My father, Rick Farron, he built a church called Upper Room Ministries, and that is a beautiful church, and that is through Christ himself. And he learned about the actual truth, and that is the absolute, unequivocal truth, that he knows about Christ and he knows about God, and that is so far beyond the Watchtower baloney. Okay? And I love that. I love that about you, Dad. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jamie. Thank you for calling in. And I want the audience to know, did I coax you to call in tonight?
Never. As a matter of fact, Dad, I'll tell you, like Kevin, like we're really good friends. And Kevin's like, hey, let's watch the 6 screens. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'd love to. And I don't ever speak the Lord's name in vain, but I say, oh my God, because God is working directly through you. And I said, yes, let's do it. Like I want to call in. And I call in and I tell you, Rick Farron is doing the Lord's work. Okay?
All right.
He is doing the Lord's work.
Well,
and I love that. Thank you, Daddy.
Well, thank you, Jamie. Thank you for calling in. Well, that's good. Well, thank you for all of those good comments. I'm glad my daughter loves me. I'm glad someone loves me. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you very much. All right.
I love you. I love you, Daddy.
All right. Say hello to Kevin, too, okay? Thank you. All right. Well, there you go.
Yep. I'll do that. Okay.
Okay. That's my daughter. I mean,
bye, Daddy. Bye.
Bye. Well, she's never really called in before. I didn't coax her to call in, but somehow, some way, they were watching the 6 screens tonight and saw her father on there and want to come in and get some good comments. So isn't that nice to hear from your daughter and get some good remarks like that? Well, we certainly appreciate it. Well, anyways, we'll get back to the program, folks. But, I have to tell you something. For a while, Jamie was locked in the Watchtower, like a lot of people. Now, I had 5 children with my former wife. Like I say, 4 of them are out, and what a blessing. And if you're listening into this program tonight, you're going to get a lot of people, a lot of your relatives and friends are going to be exiting. And what are you going to say to them when they do that? That's going to be happening. So I'm so glad. All right, let's go with the 331. You're on with us, 331. Go ahead. Is that still Jamie? I'm not sure. Okay, she's off. All right, well, let's go back. Let's just talk more about the memorial. So they're actually, I just read you an article before Jamie came on. I read you an article in the Watchtower, how if you don't go to the memorial, you could die. Yeah, I'm not making this up. It's right from a 1972 Watchtower. But the reason why I even bring this up is, what are they going to do this year to get people to the memorial? People aren't coming to the memorial this year. I don't think they're gonna fudge the numbers. They're gonna cook the books, I'm sure. But they're trying to get everyone they can. But I'm just thinking. I was thinking of some invitations. They might be a little strong, but imagine an invitation that says, if you don't come to the memorial, you're gonna die. I mean, are they ever going to get to that point? I don't think so. Or if you don't come to the memorial, send me an invitation to your funeral. In essence, that's what they're saying. They must be pretty desperate. We talked about how desperate the Watchtower was last week. So, I just want to bring that to your attention tonight. So we'll see what happens during the memorial this year. Okay. Just before we leave the memorial, I just want to give you guys an idea of how many people are partaking at home. Now, because of all these crazy articles in the Watchtower about you being mentally ill because you partake of the emblems, or maybe it's just some emotional feeling you have about wanting to live in heaven and not here on earth, whatever the Watchtower suggests on why you shouldn't partake, it's really discouraging. It's discouraging people from partaking. For example, before we get to that, I'm just going to tell you, last year, 2024, the memorial had 22,000 partakers. That is 22,000 people came to the memorial and partook of the emblems. Now, when I left the Watchtower back in 2005, there was only 8,753 that partook of the memorial back in 2005. That number has escalated. It's now up to 22 million. I'm sorry, 22 million. Did I say 1,000? I mean 22 million Jehovah's Witnesses now partake. And then just to add some frosting to the cake, there is now also a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses that don't partake at the memorial. They do it at their home. They go to the memorial, they go through the motions, they pass the bread, they pass the wine, and then they go home afterwards and they do it themselves. I get a lot of people that have written me and told me that. In fact, even just today, I get information from a couple. They say that they're not partaking at the memorial. They're going to go home after the memorial and partake. So how many witnesses are doing that? That's an odd thing, right? But who wants to partake of the emblems sitting in a group of people who think you're a mental case because you're partaking? I mean, that doesn't make sense, right? But that's this Watchtower. I'll tell you that's why we do this every Saturday night, folks. How do you make sense out of nonsense? In fact, I'm going to tell you something. Even doing a program like this, your head kind of gets rattled a little bit. You're trying to present things in a reasonable fashion, in an understandable fashion. And sometimes I can't do it because of all the nonsensicalness that takes place in the Watchtower. Okay, let's move on.
Hello?
Go ahead. Yeah, you're almost, Mike.
Oh, real quick, Rick, I just wanted to ask you, you brought out about the partakers. So you said there's 22,000 now.
22 million. I'm sorry.
Like what?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's 22,000, not 22 million. 22,000. Yeah.
Yeah, partakers. Yeah, that's probably attendance. But anyway, so think about it. If you go, I was thinking. See, Brother Russell said that the general call ended in 1881. Then they said it ended in. I don't know if they ever said 1918, but I know that it ended, in 1931. Okay, remember they got the name Jehovah's Witnesses. So I think they said that was like the penny. At the end of the day, he hands out the denarius or the penny. Well, the penny was the new name Jehovah's Witnesses. So then he said, a few stragglers came in there between 1931 to 1935, and obviously that's when they started to gather an earthly class. So, do these people eat their Wheaties or what? What do you think? I mean, how could there be all these people? I just don't know how you can explain all this.
Well,
you can go back and look up the numbers. 1958, that big convention in New York, you can look up the numbers. Brother Noor, and I listened to this, he said there was 15,000 partaking, and they were elderly. Well, you went there, Rick, when you were a kid. You remember going there in the 50s. Was there very many people that you ever saw partake even then?
Well, not necessarily in the 50s. I mean, it was a little too young back then. But in the 60s, I mean, you were hard pressed to find an anointed one. Hard pressed.
Okay, right. So, but I'm just saying, you would assume there would have been more. There would have been more than now. I mean, I know there wasn't as many witnesses overall, but I just don't see how you can keep explaining this if how do people, how could they all of a sudden get more? I mean, are 22,000, are they just making up the number? I mean, it used to always be, I remember that they looked at them, if the number was going down, that was good, that meant we were closer to Armageddon. But now you got some guy on the governing body that was born, in the 1870s? It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, let me tell you this. I mean, what they have to do is they have to really discredit. Like we say, there was 22 million that attended the memorial, and there was 2,200 or so, a couple of thousand people that actually partook. Now, that number is way up from years ago, and it continues to rise. And I'm even surprised the Watchtower even publishes that number because it really indicts them. As you said, Mike, the number is supposed to be going down, but the number is going up. And I think.
Well, I know they said it. So they sort of came up with new light on it. I understand, but it's just. I don't know. Well, I guess people believe what they want to believe.
Well, what it really is, Mike. I mean, my thoughts on it. You're going to hear a lot of different opinions and feelings. But what's happening, Mike, is a lot of people really, if you really do read the Bible, I know you do. You're a very knowledgeable man, and people who read the Bible realize that there's more than 144,000 Christians. There really, really is. I mean.
Well, right, but see, it goes back to the Bible students who are teaching that there's like a secondary heavenly class that only 144,000 make up the body of Christ, and then you got the I like to call them the dropout class. The dropout class, that would be the great multitude or the great crowd, And then Ben Rutherford got new light and said that they were on the Earth, and when he figured that out in 1935.
Well, what's happening is more and more people, more and more people are examining the scriptures. They're seeing that, wow, if I'm really a Christian, then I have to partake. That's what Christians do. So that's why I think numbers are increasing.
Well, eating a piece of bread, Rick, doesn't make you a Christian. It's a spiritual. If you partake of the memorial emblems or the Last Supper, that's a physical it's a spiritual manifest. Partaking of it is a spiritual thing. That's just something that you do as a symbolically.
Well, yeah, but you do that in recognition of being a real Christian. In other words, if you're a real Christian, and this idea that the Watchtower puts in people's heads that you have to be totally worthy, you have to have a clean slate. There's nothing that can be going on. That's a bunch of baloney. Listen to this, Mike. Let me talk, please. Let me talk, please. Can I just talk without interrupting? I'll let you talk. Let me talk, okay? So I can just talk. I get my message out. How can I talk when you interrupt all the time? So there are people that partake, and they really. The Watchtower tries to say that, boy, you have to be very worthy. Don't partake if you did this or that. If you don't feel you're worthy, who is worthy? What human is worthy of partaking? So, they put all this pressure on the witnesses. But when you become a real Christian, and I'm not going to make this a Christian program, but when you become a real Christian, you are anointed. You can partake. So that's the way it is in the real world. But the Watchtower complicates it so much. They put so much added features to the anointed and the partaking that people can't even they can't even think straight, Mike. So go ahead, you talk now.
Well, I was just going to say the Bible does. Well, I'm not drunk, just to let everybody know, but the Bible does say that let someone examine themselves. It does say that. You can't deny that. And it also does say not to partake unworthily. It does say that in the Bible. You can't deny that.
Yeah. Well, what the Apostle Paul was saying there when he talked about unworthiness, some people, Mike, all of us listening to this program, I don't think there's a person on this program tonight that can say, gee, I'm worthy. I'm perfect. I am just a God-fearing person. I never did anything wrong in my life. Everything I've done is perfect. God loves me. There isn't a person listening to this program tonight that could say that. Nobody is certainly worthy. You, me, anybody listening. So the Watchtower, they put so much guilt on a person. Let's face it, if someone, did something 10 years ago and they're thinking of partaking at the memorial, oh, gee, I shouldn't have, maybe I was too close to that woman 10 years ago, or maybe I shouldn't have smoked that marijuana joint, whatever it would be. They're going to put that guilt on you, and they don't want you to partake, but that's not the way it should be. What the Apostle Paul was talking about when he said that, you want to be worthy, you want to examine yourself. What he meant by that is a lot of the people back in the first century would show up at Christians to partake, and they would get drunk before they even came. They would eat before they came. They'd be gluttonous. So that's what the unworthiness is all about, Mike, at least my understanding of it.
No, I think it could be attributing to sin. If you were living in sin, I know no one should never. You can't say you've never committed a sin, but if somebody is living a lifestyle that would be out of harmony, then I think that would account as being unworthy. Also, I know we talked about people that were eating and drinking before. I understand that, but
right. But Mike, look at you. You have sinned. I have sinned. We have all sinned. But that's why I go with 1 Corinthians, the 6th chapter. It deals with, are you a practicer of sin? Now, I don't care what you did in the past. You murdered people. You had adulterous relationships. whatever consequences in life that were bad you faced. So if you continue to practice that, right, you would be unworthy. But if you said, no, I no longer do that, I've cleaned my life up, I want to move on, then you are worthy of partaking. Yes. That's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. I mean, God doesn't.
Well, Rick, I was just going to say, I think you might have broke your own rule there and wrote quote scripture.
Well, but no, I have to say, look at on Saturday night we don't get into scripture, but you have to do it sometimes to show where we're coming from, especially when you're talking about the memorial. But there's nobody listening to this program that hasn't committed a sin, and God's not, the God of the Watchtower. They present him as carrying a big stick. Jehovah God of the Watchtower carries this big stick and he whacks you every time you get out of line. And that's not the God of the Bible. The God of the Bible, at least in the New Testament, is going to be loving to you. He's not going to beat you up every time you do something wrong. As long as you're changing your life. Yeah.
Right. I got a quick comment about that, Rick. You just said about the God of the Bible, and then you mentioned stick. Don't always remember it. It always sticks out of my mind as it go to the book of Numbers. I believe it's chapter 15. The guy was picking up sticks on Saturday, and they killed him.
Yeah.
They killed him.
Yeah,
he broke God's law. The God of the Hebrews.
The conference has been unlocked.
He gets down upon his enemies.
Well, Mike, thank you for calling in tonight, Mike. Thank you. I've always looked at you as a very smart man. Now try to keep heading in the right direction. Okay. I liked your conversation tonight. I think it was acceptable. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. All right. Let's move on here. Let's take a look and see what else is going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. And in every week, I mean, there's always something going on, right? Now, I don't know if you guys heard of this or not, but Jehovah's Witnesses are now charging for their little social gatherings. Now, we know Jehovah's Witnesses don't call a gathering a party. They call it a gathering, a get-together. But, they're now charging. Now, not all get-togethers are charged, but a lot of the witnesses are making money off other Jehovah's Witnesses. And for example, we're going to have a gathering at my house, at Brother Farron's house. We're going to have a gathering, and it's going to cost you $50-$60 to come. But if you pay early, it would be like, take $10 off. And, we'll have food, we'll have entertainment. So, we want $60. Send it to us, and we'll get the wheels moving here. This is what's going on. This is happening a lot. This is not just isolated incidents. This is now happening a lot in the Jehovah's Witness religion. Many Jehovah's Witnesses are having these little get-togethers and charging people to come. Now, I got thinking, did that ever happen to me? Yes, it did. I'd say 30 years ago, when I was living here in Massachusetts, a brother called me up. Hey, Rick, would you and your wife like to come to our get-together? They would never say a party. Would you love to come to our get-together, Rick? We're going to have lobster. We're going to have seafood. And, boy, I want you to come and be with us, Rick. Geez, that sounds great to me, brother. I'd love to come, brother. Well, it's going to cost you, $20. I believe it was $20 a person. So I says, oh, okay, fine. But I never heard of that. So it's $20. If I usually invited someone over to dinner or I took someone out to lunch, I wouldn't expect them to pay. But now they're saying, come to my get together, but you're going to pay for the food I'm going to give you. So this is just something that's happening in the witness world right now. So I wanted to bring that up. And I'll tell you what. So what they're doing, they're making a real business out of this. Many Jehovah's Witnesses are making money with these get-togethers. And they're saying, it's $60 to come, but mail, email us the money through Cash App or give us a credit card or whatever. And what we'll do is we'll let you come rather than $60. If you mail ahead of time, we'll give it to you for $50. So, they're playing all kinds of games with this. Have you ever had that happen to you? I'd love to hear from you. Jesse, you're calling in from.
Nope.
Did that happen to you, Jesse? From Arizona. Yeah.
Yes, sir. You Arizona.
Yeah.
Hey, just want to shout out to Gary. He sounds real good on the phone. Hey, you were saying a few minutes ago that you don't see a lot of the brothers out talking for the memorial, going out in field service.
Yeah.
And I'm mostly in the Spanish territory, so I but here in Arizona, and I don't know how it is in other towns, but they're real strong in the Spanish territory, and I think in the English territory, the Jehovah's Witnesses are dead on the water. And I could be wrong. It's just from what I see here in Arizona. And talking to the brothers in the apostates in the English congregation, they said the Jehovah's Witnesses are dead. But I think in the immigrant community and in the non-English community, that's where they're thriving. That's where you see all their going out in field service. And like here, I see the Spanish out working door to door all the time, and I don't see no English.
Well,
and I think the English is dead.
Well, that's very funny to say that.
I mean, in the whole United States?
I don't know about that because, I mean, the Spanish have always been a little more aggressive, a little more zealous, you could say. Mm-hmm. But maybe just out in that neck of the woods. But up here, a lot of the Spanish are giving up in the Northeast. Yeah.
Well, can I mention something? I don't want to interrupt you, Rick, because you have incredible words of wisdom, as your daughter told us, and I believe your daughter. But I will tell you, they take advantage of all minority communities and all minority intellectual communities also. They make big headway in the counties where the people aren't that smart because they have bad education, which I was one of them, quite frankly. So that's what's going on. I just wanted to mention about Gilbert. People don't realize this, but Gilbert is a very delicate flower of a human being. I used to talk to him like 15 hours a week for like 6 months. That was just when I first started getting into the apostate community. And, Gilbert he's a lover, not a fighter. And he's the kind of guy that, I'm not going to recommend him to women, though. I mean, I'm not going to go that far. But I will tell you this. If he finds the right woman, Gilbert would make a fantastic husband. But Gilbert, he's like one of those people who travels a lot. He goes back and forth, back and forth. I used to deliver stuff and hang out at the airport, pick up packages, drive 200 miles. Did I lose you? I just want to explain the Gilbert persona here. And he used to be an elder, so you got to remember, that's traumatizing. So he's a great human being, and but he won't talk to me anymore. He'll comment back my comments on the site, but he won't talk to me. And I'm not sure why, but guess what, Gilbert? I love you, and everybody loves you. And if you don't want to talk to me, that's all right, because I can talk to nobody else. So please talk to me. Anyway, that's all I had to say.
Well, I think...
Hey, King of Dogs, you made me forget what we were talking about, so maybe you could help us remember what we were talking about since you did that. I'm sorry. No, I forgot.
Mr. Fearon?
Yeah. In fact, I just want to say that I do agree with I agree with King M. Dots. Gilbert's a great guy. We all love Gilbert. Absolutely. Go ahead, Chicago. That's you, Stephan.
Hi, this is Stephan. 2 things. One is, yes, I went to many gatherings by witnesses, and they get charged. But a lot of times, all the times, there was either dinner involved because this was at a restaurant, or there was a band, Jehovah's Witness band that played. And so they didn't really get paid a lot, but you wanted to pay for their gas and give them a couple bucks for, they could have been doing something else, but instead they decided, they were brought in to help entertain the witnesses. So yeah, I've been to many things where we pay. The second thing I want to say is my nickname for you, Mr. Fearon, is going to be Richie Rich. I don't even know if you know who that is. It was a cartoon character, a comic book character. But the thing was that he was fantastically wealthy. And it was kind of fun to see all the intrigue he'd get into with all the money that he had. And the reason for that is that you are truly wealthy. For those who don't have family, to hear that you have family, plus over. For those that don't have children, to hear that you've got children. We all are here because we were in a cult, and we woke up from that cult, and we have community. That's a blessing, and you have much to do with this particular community. And then you even have children that were in the cult that you talk them all out of the cult, and then have one even come in and just sort of laud your praises. I think you're about the wealthiest person that I know. Forget Jeff Bezos and Musk and whoever else. You got to be the richest person that I know. So my new nickname for you is going to be Richie Rich. But in any event, yes, many times I've gone together until we had to pay money. Thank you.
Well, thank you for saying that. But I do feel, I mean, really, when you stop and think about it, that's a real blessing. And to have my daughter call in, I didn't know she was going to call in. I speak with her. I just got off the phone a week or so ago with her. But, I never thought she listened into the 6 screens. I mean, none of my children do. I'm not saying that in a negative way. Sometimes people just want to get away from it all. But for her to call in tonight, that was really something special. So I thank her for doing that. And it was good. She loves me. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, if you're a father, don't you think that it's nice? Your daughter loves you, your kids love you. So I feel good about that. Thank you. All right.
I can only imagine.
Thank you.
And maybe if we ever have some kind of meet up in Illinois, she can come and join us if we ever have. I think I only know 2 or 3 ex-witnesses in Illinois, but maybe if we have something, we can let her know she can join us.
Good. Well, thank you. I will let her know that. Yeah. So anyways, you're on the 6 screens, JW World News. That's the news. The Watchtower doesn't want us talking about, but what do you want to talk about? I mean, did you have any gatherings where you had, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Eric.
Hey, I have to disagree with the gatherings. They weren't a charge, and they were, I don't know if it was just where we were in Rhode Island, but we all had, bomb food, really, amazing, phenomenal food always. Even just the food that we would bring to, say, the congregation cleaning, you'd have, anything from, lobster bisque, the clam chowder, meatballs and sausage and peppers and meatballs with homemade ragu sauce or I don't know, antipasta. It just keeps going. Skirt Mozambique. I mean, we have a melting pot of Portuguese and Italian people in our congregation. Everybody took food really seriously, and I don't remember anyone asking for money ever. And I'm not trying to build up the witnesses. You know me, I've been hurt by them really badly. But as far as the food, wow. Maybe I was in somewhere special, but even some of the people that made food for Desiree and I's wedding was just phenomenal. But yeah, no one ever asked us for money. I know there was never any money asked. It was just everybody helped out. But we had, conch salad. All kinds of real good food. But anyways, I'm not trying to build them up. It's not Watchtower. It's just the people. It's a culture. The culture in Rhode Island is very close-knit community. And once you're in the clique, everybody kind of just takes care of one another for the most part. It has nothing to really do with Watchtower. Rhode Island is just that way. But if you're not in the clique, boy, will they push you out. They're not very welcoming. But I don't know, the food was really good, and people never asked for money. That could have changed, though, in the last few years. You never know. I haven't lived there in 9 years, so I don't know if it's changed at all, Rick. But I just thought I'd give my 2 cents.
Well, I'll take the 2 cents, and I have to tell you, really, the food up here in New England's good. And even the brothers and sisters, that they could say sausage and peppers and all kinds of things, macaroni, salad. It was all good, and I certainly appreciated it. And it was only once that I was asked to come to a little get-together, if you want to call it that. And it was $20. I believe it was $20 a piece. But, lobster's expensive too, so I could understand that. But, if you're invited to come, Brother Farron, can you come to our little get together next Saturday night? Oh yeah, no, I'll come. Well, it's going to cost you $20 a piece. I mean, it's something. It just kind of rattled my cage a little bit, but I got it. I told my former wife. I said, "Look, lobster's expensive. I'll pay the money. I'm not going to worry about the money." But now I'm finding that this seems to be the rule of thumb. A lot of these witnesses, the modern witnesses, are trying to make money off of other witnesses. And if anyone has got any thoughts on this, if you are experiencing that where you live, has anyone ever heard of this? Yeah.
I've done a lot of thought.
Go ahead, King. Yep.
I'm the guy who did more parties for witnesses than anybody ever. And after I left the witnesses, I was holding like 15, 20 parties here at my house and never asked a cent from anybody. It gets expensive to get someone in here who's a drinker. That's where the money comes in. I'm suspecting that the drinking is the reason they're jacking the money up here. But again, my first son-in-law, oh my God, he went through 24 cans of beer for Super Bowl. Yeah, right. And his dad was an elder. His brother was an elder. His brother-in-law was an elder. I didn't know what the hell to do. What the hell's going on here? 24 cans of beer. We had to send people out to get more beer. Crazy. And they tried to pin that on me, but I found out from other people. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. But they wanted to pin it on me, okay? When he killed somebody driving, okay? That's how Watchtower is, Got to put the blame somewhere else. But I will tell you this. It's about the alcohol, in my opinion, because it's just too expensive. Some people come, and they just slosh out, man. And you're stuck holding the bill. Jack Daniels is $24.99 for a small bottle, okay? Who can afford that if you want to think you're going to serve some good whiskey? I think it's all about the booze. Take it for what it's worth, man. That's just my personal experience. I'm the guy who had the parties, okay? Lots and lots and lots of parties.
Well, that could.
I was not a fan of charge anybody anything.
Well, good for you, King of Dots.
You can question me. Anybody want to question me about all the parties I had? You can question me as much as you want. Guess what? I did not try to get anybody drunk at these parties. I didn't even know they were drunk. Still, maybe they came to my parties, I didn't know that the Watchtower had such a drinking problem. I didn't really know until I started having parties. Unfortunately, I had to keep having my son-in-law over because he's married to my daughter. I mean, and that was rough, man. So, I don't know, it was a very terrible period for me dealing with. But I want to say one more thing. I'm the only person who did miss the memorial and was called on the carpet for it. I just want to make sure you know that. My stepson, who was 15 at the time, I raised an African-American stepson, and he wanted out. He caused a commotion of violence in our car on the way to the Kingdom Mall, and I had to take them all back home, the family, get everybody calmed down. He virtually attacked his stepsister, who's like 5 years older than him. And so I couldn't make it. I was supposed to pass the ambulance. And of course, I got the guilt trip from a couple of the elders. One said, "Don't you feel the least bit bad about missing the memorial?" And then, not really. I had a family situation I had to take care of. So they tried to do the whole guilt trip complex stupidity on me. And I just ignored it because it's like, you know what? A man's got to do what a man's got to do. And that might have led to me getting deleted, quite frankly. But I told my stepson, I'll hold that against you. You helped me out. You got me out of this shitty religion. That's what I told him. Thank you. Thank you so much, man.
Welcome to Touched by the Testicles of the Crotch Tower. This is Rick, and I love eating Watchtower pussy. This is
Yeah, so there we go. We got the drunken Bethelites coming in once again. They're coming in on us.
This is Rick, and
The conference has been locked.
my wife Susan always has yeast infection.
Yeah, we got the conference locked now.
It's over now.
But this is exactly what happens, you know.
The conference has been unlocked.
Yeah, I mean, friends, we got the drunken Bethelites. They're coming in here tonight. They hate our program. I'm sorry for the bad language they use. I'm trying to, as I'm doing the program here, I'm trying to bump them off. But they come in all the time. They don't like people talking about what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. These are drunken Bethelites. They start drinking at Bethel. They have been commissioned by the Watchtower to try to break this program up. That's what's going on here tonight. So sorry, friends, for the vulgar language they use. It's absolutely nuts. I'm going to lock it right now. The conference
has been locked.
We're going to lock the conference that limits people from coming in. If you're in, don't leave. You won't get back in. They want to see, look at here's the thing. Here's the thing. There's many YouTube videos. Everybody does a good job. Everyone does a great job doing YouTube. Very few people do live programs like the 6 screens. As a matter of fact, I think we're the only ones. And what happens is these Bethelites can intrude. They can come bombing in here and use all this vulgar language, trying to derail people. And, oh, these apostates are nothing but a bunch of swearing bums. That's what they're trying to do. So what we do here, we have to lock it up. It's a shame they come on, but the Watchtower does not like this program. Why would they? We have people calling in from all over the world, people willing to expose the Watchtower, people willing to speak up and tell how evil, how demonic, how dangerous the Watchtower organization is. So they don't like it. But we're going to keep going on. They're not going to disrupt us. We're going to keep spilling the beans on the Watchtower. So anyways, I just wanted to bring this idea up about gatherings and people charging money for it. I think it's kind of unusual that they would hear that. So let's move on. We got more stories to talk about here tonight. So let's move forward. So maybe you didn't have, get-togethers where people charged you. I have seen it myself here in Massachusetts, and maybe you haven't. Pixie, what do you think?
Well, I've not seen you charging for any of the gatherings. I have to say that here in the American South, the food is always good and plentiful, and we have some good cooks here too. I think around the world, the witnesses are very good with hospitality and very good with recipes, and from soup to cake and entrees in between, the food is great. That's something we all learned that.
Good. Well, thank you, Pixie. Always good to hear from you. Thank you very much.
I did something on Sunday. I went to the Kingdom Hall.
You went to the Kingdom Hall. So what happened?
Well, it was about half empty. The other half was on Zoom. They had the circuit overseer. He was young and personable and very animated, and he had a beautiful young wife. And I dressed up, which was good after a long, cold winter, and my friends took me. And what I noticed was his sermon was one of those embarrassing sermons about Jehovah and Baal and all the wrong things that were done, in Israel and the Canaanites and everything. And this struck me as shocking. I'm not easily embarrassed, but it was shocking because of the age of the audience. There were maybe 3 young people in the audience, and everybody else is AARP age. So they really didn't need a don't sin lecture. When we got to the Watchtower study, I had not watched the video. You're supposed to watch a video now before you comment. But I knew enough about Jesus that I said he was the propitiatory sacrifice for Adam, and that he forgives us, and that he's our mediator and savior. Well, this comment went over very well. Basic Christianity 101. And a gentleman that used to be an elder, he said, yes, propitiatory means covered. We're forgiven. And if our behavior is good later, we're forgiven. This is wonderful. Well, it made such a thrill that by the time the circuit overseer got to the prayer, he used forgiveness in his prayer. So it was kind of a reverse witness in a way.
Well, I suppose you could call it that, right?
But a lot of people there, it was like new to them, because they had answers that were not what Jesus did, and not the Adam and Jesus balance in the opera. The one man says, well, Jehovah gave us eternal life. He didn't even mention Jesus. So I don't know what their Jesus video is supposed to be. I don't know if more people will partake next week. I don't know that I'll go next week, but I might, and then I can report back and let you know.
Well, I like to hear that, Pixie.
Sesame Street has more complex songs, but the music's not good anymore.
You don't like the music? No. What do you think? What do you think the music? Why is the music? Why don't you like the music? Why is it different?
It was like a Sesame Street song. It was like, it wasn't rock and roll. It wasn't folk music. It was like a nursery rhyme kind of song. And they put it on the screen. They didn't have sheet music where I would read the tune to know what it was. But some of the people, they knew it, and they were singing it, and they were happy about it. And, they got freedom of religion, so God bless them. But I just don't think it's for me anymore. But I might go to one more, and then I can let everybody know how it went. So.
Well, that's good. If you would, Pixie, by all means, call in. Let us know how it went. Thank you, Pixie. Well, you're on JW World News. Friends, this is the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. But, boy, I have to tell you, we're coming across a lot of things that is very concerning to me. And I've been hearing rumors all this week. Now, I don't want you to take it to the bank and cash it. It's only a rumor, and I don't think it's true. I do not think this is true, but I am hearing rumors, underlined rumors, I'm hearing that the Stanley Theater was sold for $16 million. But don't go fast with this. Just hang on. I think that there might be a lot of people getting this mixed up. I'm not sure why this is coming across the internet, but this has been a big story this week that the Stanley Theater was sold. But what I see, in doing a little bit of research on it, I see that it's not the Stanley Theater. People are getting mixed up. There's an assembly hall that was sold for $16 million in Queens. And now they are going to evidently move it to this Geico property center that they bought. So I don't want to mix anyone up. But the reason why I even bring this up and talk about it is the Watchtower has tons of property. We all know how much property the Watchtower has, and they've been selling it off, and that's how they're making money. Now, one time they made it on publications. They don't make much money on publications today. That seems to be over. We know the Watchtower is a big-time real estate business. So I bring this up tonight that has to deal with finances in the Watchtower. We are absolutely understanding how rich the Watchtower has been through selling kingdom halls, assembly halls, and what have you. They've done quite well with it. But there's a new book out right now. Let me just see if I can't push this down. Okay. There's a new book out right now that is really, hold on one second, folks. My computer keeps changing here on us. But I want to give you exactly what I have written down today and been working on. There's a book out right now, and this book really, I'm going to get the book, and maybe you should get it too. It's called The Silent Empire, and it deals with the finances, the power, and the manipulation in the Watchtower Society. And it's written by a man named Edwin Madeira. Edwin Madeira. And Edwin talks all about how wicked the Watchtower is and the money they're scamming from people. Let me see if I can't give some information on this. Doesn't give too much here. But this book deals about the manipulation and how the Watchtower has really dominated the witness world, and how they manipulate the witness world to be able to give money, donate money, leave houses, leave jewelry, leave stocks, all of your assets to the Watchtower. And this book really examines how evil the Watchtower is in doing all of that. So this is called The Silent Empire. But the reason why I bring it up here tonight is because I find out that we have so many witnesses that are starting to wake up, and they're realizing that the Watchtower has been scamming them. And you're probably listening in here tonight. And one of the reasons why you're getting out of the Watchtower is because you've been being scammed. And, the strangest thing is, we've brought up here numerous times on the 6 screens about in London, England, particularly, all these beautiful properties that the Watchtower owns, multi-million-dollar properties, apartment complexes, mansions that whoever was living in them, who knows, but they have been selling them off. And since we've been broadcasting and alerting people to it, all of a sudden we're finding that website with all of those houses, all of those mansions and buildings that the Watchtower owned in London, they're now taken off. See, the Watchtower doesn't want people realizing how much money they have. They don't want people realizing how much property they have. So consequently, how easy it is, just delete the website. I tried to get on there today. We showed these mansions before here on the 6 screens. I wish I would have downloaded it all. I had no idea the Watchtower would take it all down, but I tried to get on the website today with all of the property the Watchtower owns in England and how they're trying to sell it off, but the website was down. So, they're doing this. They're doing this on purpose. They do not want you to know what they own. They don't want you to know they're a rich organization. They're trying to hide that from you. So I thought it was very, very, very convenient that the Watchtower could take
Hey, Rick?
Yeah.
Hey, Rick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, why don't Watchtower just reverse the narrative? I mean, they got the scriptures, that's all they use. And, just say, the road to life is narrow and cramped and few are finding it, and it's the big falling away. Why don't they just say that instead of inflating the numbers? I mean, it's obvious, there's half the people at the Kingdom Halls, a third of them at the assemblies. It's obvious that it's dropping, but it's like, why don't they reverse it? Why don't we say, brothers, we hope you hold faithful. This is a time of falling away, and we're going to be liquidating some Kingdom Halls. I don't understand the psychology under it. Then I wanted to say one other point, with what Jesse was saying. He's right. For some reason, the Hispanics are out like flies. The white people aren't. I don't know why. I had the same observation here in Idaho. The Hispanic Kingdom Hall is filled, and they're out with the carts, but there's no white people. And the ones I do see in the other parts of town, when I do talk to the white people, they're perplexed. Aren't you, Angela? Yeah. There's a strange disposition on their face, almost like they're embarrassed. The Hispanic are just saying, go to jw.org. But the other ones really don't even want anything to do with you. I've ridden by them, walked by them, and they'll turn away and drink their coffee together in the middle of the park. But when you do talk to them, they're very perplexed. They're defensive. They're almost like they've got something to defend just being out there, but they're not preaching. They're enjoying the company of each other. But I think it's interesting, and just it just got me thinking. I thought, man, that's all we've seen here is Hispanic. And every now and then you might see a white one, but they're not interested in preaching. In fact, the last time I talked to one, the guy said, "Hey, right over there's a great beer joint. Go have a beer." I said, "I don't drink," And he's like, oh, "Okay," but and that was it. But it was wild, Rick. It's so much has changed in there. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know why they don't reverse that and just use the scripture that there'd be a falling away. Doesn't that seem weird? Is it more better to say the numbers are growing? Or, I mean, it's so conundrum. I mean, to see your congregations half full or a third full and to say we're growing, it's a laugh. Have you ever thought about that?
Why?
Well, I have, but I understand why they do it. They
I don't either.
well, no, what they do, if the numbers are growing, they will be glad to tell you that. They'll say Jehovah's chariot is on the move. But if the numbers are declining, they're going to come up with what you just said, that the greater number is cooling off. I mean, they wishy-washy on that, but they seem to get the witnesses to totally believe it all. And that's what they do. It's fallacious writing. It's weird, but the people believe it.
Yeah.
They can go in every
I
direction.
didn't know if it was a spirit of ignorance.
Well, they go on every.
Yeah, a lot of times, Rick, when you're sinning, or when you're just outright sinning, I notice a lot of people that are just outright just not good people. There's a spirit of ignorance with it. And I just wonder why. I would say there's a false